Hi, there's a debate on whether fairy lights or rope lights are better. Now, I have some fairy lights and I have some rope light here. Each one of these is different. Now, I do have 30 foot of fairy light. It is solar charging. Unfortunately, with anything solar charged like this, especially these fairy lights, this has to be on all the time for it to charge. That means as soon as it gets dark out, these are coming on. So, if you're going to use these for an emergency, you have to stick these out during the day, let them charge, turn it off, and bring them in the house and let them sit in the house if you want to use them for emergency lighting. Are, is this going to put out enough light for that? Doubtful. But you will be able to see a little bit of area around you. Now, here I have some rope light. Now, I only have 15 foot of rope light. Whether you have 15 foot or 30 foot, it's not going to make much difference. Now, this is USB. This runs off USB. You can get it with 12 volt ends. So, I'm going to go through. Unfortunately, this has like 8 settings on it, so getting it to stay on is next to impossible. Now, to do this test, I have my laptop closed. I'm going to turn the light off, but I also have the light on my camera covered up, so hopefully it doesn't interfere with this test. First, we're going to start with the fairy lights. Now, the longer it stays on, the more power it's going to use. This is not a whole lot of light, but it's enough I can see a little bit around it. I can more or less make out the can. And you can see the farther, unfortunately I got the lights on the wrong mode, but the farther I go back, the dimmer it gets, and you can see it is putting out some light. Now, I don't know how well you can see this on the camera, but I can see my wall clear from back there. And you can see my wall behind it now. Okay, let's get the light back on so I can hook up the other one. Now, this, unfortunately, is not the best way to test this, but we're going to see, since I have watched several videos on these, which one do you think is the best? Now, you can see more of a glow on this. Now, you can't really make everything out like you could on the fairy lights, but you can see the wall. Now, I don't know if you can still see this on camera. Unfortunately, there is some light coming in at the door, and I am right here by the wall light switch at the door. So, it's putting out enough light for me to see pretty much inside the apartment, at least most things. Now, I understand you will not be able to see everything I can see, but yes, I can see it. I can see my bed, my girlfriend's bed. I can see our dryer over there. Now, that could be because some light is coming in through the door, and some light actually is coming out of the phone. Now, the brightness difference, let's get this set on the right mode. This is a little bit brighter, as you can tell. it's not set for the right one. I think that's it. I'm not sure. So, which one is better? And that's still not set on the right one. Like I said, this has 8 settings, and having to go through every single one of them is a pain in the butt. Now, they both have advantages and disadvantages. One disadvantage for this, the wire is very thin. It gets tangled very, very easily. And it has to be outside charging, or you have to stick it out during the daytime, turn the power on, and let it charge. And you have to make sure the power is on this thing. If it's off, it will not charge. Now this, you have to have some type of plug to plug it into. So, which one puts out more light? Well, of course, this one. There's also a 15-foot longer in this one than on this one. But honestly, I don't think 15 more foot of this would really make much difference. I mean, you can see the brightness difference. So, which one is right? Well, that depends on you. It depends on what you want to use it for. Now, this I have for strictly emergencies, same as this. These are for strict emergencies. As long as I have a battery pack or even one of my power stations, I can use this one. I can use this one off my solar, off my USB plugs, my USB ports. This one, I am very limited to what I can use this on because you have to have it hooked up to the solar panel. Now, as soon as the light comes on, this one will go off. This one will not. As you can see, this one's still going. This one's off. Now watch what happens. So, in my opinion, if you're trying to buy something that's on the cheap, now both of these are under like $10. This is under 10 for 15 foot. This is under 10 for 30 foot. Now you can get these up to like 100 foot. But remember, these things tangle very, very easily. And you have to have it charging. Now, there are certain videos on YouTube and other places that show you how to take this off and put on a USB plug. If that's what you want to do, then fine. But remember, this wire is so small, and that's 2 wires there. You can see it separating. It's so small that it gets tangled very, very easily. This, even if it gets tangled, it's not a big deal. It is wrapped, so it's not going to knot up. Which one is the best for light? That one, the fairy lights. Which one is the best for an emergency use if you have to use it in the house? That's simple, the rope lights. Unless you take this and make sure it's on. And to make sure it's on, you just take it, put the solar cell to where the front is facing down. If the lights come on, it's on, or it's completely dead. If it is not on, let's say I did this and it wasn't on, I have to hit the power button. Then they should come on if the solar cell is facing downward on something. It can't get light or these lights will not work. This will work whenever you have it plugged in, regardless. They both have advantages and disadvantages, at least mine do. But which one is brighter? Let's put one over here. Let's put one over here. Let's set that can dead center in the middle. They're pretty close to it. You tell me which one is brighter. Absolutely the fairy lights. But remember, they're hard to work with. They're really long. The wire's really thin. But they do put out a lot more light. Now let's see how this is going. This was at 100% when I started. It's still at 100%. Okay, so in my opinion, for the amount of light you get for like under 10 bucks, the fairy lights put out more light. But you have to have it outside charging, or there has to be sun. This doesn't put out as much light, but it's much sturdier, much well built, much better built. Anyway, that's it. I hope you can see everything, because unfortunately, like I said, let's move this next to here, and yep, I can definitely see that. Definitely see that, but it's real dim compared to the fairy lights. Let's go clear back here. Here is my little heater. Here is my dryer. Like I said, there is some light coming out of the camera. Now clear back here. Here's my bathroom door. Right here. So you know I'm a good 25 feet away. And from here, you can tell the fairy lights are on the left-hand side if you're facing them, and the rope light is on the right-hand side. You can see actually from here which one puts out more light. Once again, I have 30 feet of fairy light and 15 feet of rope light. I don't really know if another 15 feet of rope light would make much of a difference. Perhaps it may. And if you're going to get fairy lights, you can get these up to like 100 feet long on pretty cheap. Alright, anyway, it's up to you to decide which is which one you like better. Like I say, even on the back wall, you can see the fairy lights is putting out more light. And let's unplug this. See that? It's putting out quite a bit of light on the fairy lights. I can still see. Now remember, there is a little light coming out of my camera. I do have some electrical tape over the light, trying to dim it as much as possible on my camera light. I don't know if you can see right here is the ice maker. There's the can. It's only, I don't know, 5 inches. There's my hand. 5-6 inches away from the light. Once again, the fairy lights do put out more light. When it comes to the cheap fairy lights or cheap rope lights, the fairy lights are much better, but they have their limitations. If you want something that will give you a little bit of light, and let me see if I can get this plugged back in. I can't see what I'm doing over here. I'm trying to do this with one hand. There we go. Now let's turn this off. Now let's go back. Unfortunately, there's more light coming in through the door. Now you can see from here, 25 feet back, it still has some light, but not nearly as much. And let's put the can about the same distance. I mean, you can see the can, but barely. And there's not as much light on the wall. Okay, so which is better? Now, if you like blinky blinks, of course the fairy lights are better. But now, which one will last longer? I believe it would be the rope light if you have a decent battery pack. And that's not right. Maybe that one, I don't know. Like I said, that one has 8 settings. Blinking, and then solid, and then blinking. So you have to find the right setting if you want to keep it on. This one, you plug it in, it stays on. Neither one are very large. This one's much thicker, much larger, but it also has a coating and a covering on it. This one has much smaller wire. This would be much easier to break. It's much easier to kink. So, in my opinion, if you are planning on buying something for an emergency, I would go with the fairy lights. If you can take it outside and make sure it's charged, and then go outside. They take like 6 hours to charge. Then go outside, turn it off once it's charged, and then put it somewhere. Take it outside once a week or so. Make sure it's fully charged. That way when you need it, you have it. You can turn it on. You can tape this into a window, and then turn it off during the, you can't turn it off during the day. But if you don't need it, you can just click it off at night. This, you have to have an extra power source or external power source. Either way, the fairy lights puts out much more light, but also remember, I also have 15 more feet of this than I do of this. But this is more of a neon glow than anything else. That's more of a natural light. Alright, that's it. I'm fixing to go. Hopefully this answers the questions. Which is better, fairy lights or rope lights? Because like I said, I do have both. I do leave this hanging up in the window over there at the door. I just tie it to the curtain rod with a long twist tie. So it's constantly staying, charging during the day. I make sure it's off at night so it doesn't come on and drain the battery. And this, I only plug in when I need it. Alright, that's it. I'm fixing to go. Everyone have a good day. I hope this helps you out. If you have a question about fairy lights and rope lights. Alright, bye.